This is something you've heard me yell about before on the show because it is something that means so much to me. I have a hard time getting it through to civilians what a sergeant major, what a first sergeant, what these positions mean to you as a young enlisted man. They are father figures. And Tim Walz has not only lied repeatedly about his service, he just straight up bailed on his guys right before they went into Iraq at a time when it was ugly over there. That is such horrific cowardice. I couldn't even share with you the things my Marine brothers are sharing with me by text message, how much we despise this human being. Joining me now, Tom Behrends, retired Command Sergeant Major for the Minnesota National Guard, took Walz's place as Command Sergeant Major. Okay, Sergeant Major, before we get into everything about Walz, I want to discuss you. I want to discuss what a Command Sergeant Major even does, because I certainly never made it up to that rank. Would you please explain?
Well, when you get to that position, you basically are, you're selected by the whole bunch of, higher ranking people above you, lots of Command Sergeant Majors that are in, major commands, brigade level, state level, division level. And you're literally the senior enlisted advisor to the colonel. So, I mean, the colonel and you you're like man and wife at that point. I mean, he's the person that's more or less running the business, and you're like the foreman that's out on the floor. And all the 500 soldiers. I mean, the lowest amount of people you have under you as a Command Sergeant Major is 500. I mean, you can go to brigade and have 3,000. You can be a division Command Sergeant Major and have 10, 12,000. I mean, we even have a United States Army Command Sergeant Major that he wears 2 stars in the middle of his rank, and he's over and above the whole damn United States. I mean, this is a huge rank, and you're basically the senior enlisted person for the whole battalion, and all your first sergeants look up to you. You're in charge of all the promotions, the promotion boards that take place of all the NCOs out there from E5 on up. I mean, you're the father figure, the senior man. I mean, you're the wise man on top of the damn mountain at that point.
Now, let's talk about Tim Walz. Not that I'm glad your men had you and not him, but why was it you and not Tim Walz who was Command Sergeant Major as your unit deployed to Iraq?
Well, he turned tail and ran. I mean, gunfire was going on in Iraq, and he basically was like, "Okay, there's gunfire there. I stopped. I mean, I did. He stopped, turned around, and ran the other direction. I mean, when the Twin Towers were born, basically the firefighters were all going in that direction, and he went the other damn way down the street because he had better. He felt he was more important running for Congress, and we all had things that we wanted to do at home. I mean, I had a young family at that point. Every soldier out there had something that they would have, been able to say, "Hey, I want to go to the beach and not go on this deployment." But he had this feeling that whatever it was, I don't know if it was pure cowardice at that point, or if he just determined that, well, if I go there, I'm probably not going to be worth it because I'm a soldier. I don't know what the heck his feeling was, but the bottom line is he knew he was going and he left.
What was that deployment like for you and your men?
It was started off kind of slow. I mean, I landed in Kuwait on April Fool's Day, of all ironic things in the military, but we went up into, went from Kuwait up into Iraq, in April, and then, things were relatively calm, but then, we lost a couple of people by us, one soldier with an explosively formed projectile, which was manufactured by Iran. And we lost Kyle Miller, in late June up north with a old style artillery round in the ground, in the pavement. But this EFP was a new thing, and then we got fired on in July with 81 millimeter mortars that were stamped 2006 on the bottom of it. It was like, well, this is not old Saddam that he stockpiled. This is new manufactured stuff. And that was all Iranian mortars. I mean, we ended up bringing an Iranian mortar that we captured home and got it in the Camp Ripley Museum in Minnesota because, we kept on their ass. We found, where they were shooting from, and we actually captured it and had the Iraqi government gift it back to us. But I mean, in our area, it was all Iranian stuff. And that Soleimani that Trump took out, he was the architect of all the in our area. They were well-trained bad dudes down there, and they sent the Iraqis across the border, and they came back and took their, used their new techniques on us. It was a hellhole.
Yeah, that was a bad time to be there. So you have spoken about this publicly before, but were, ignored, brushed aside? This is not the first time you've come out and spoken about this.
No, I brought it out in 2018 when he ran for governor because, I had actually wrote a letter to him in 2016, and, when he was in Congress, and I thanked him for his service, and I said, thanks for all the things you're doing on the Veterans Committee. But I said, on the other hand, please refrain from using Command Sergeant Major rank, because he used that in a speech dedicating a Veterans Memorial down in his district. And, it was the same that he's been doing here, just Command Sergeant Major this, I'm that, whatever, tooting his horn. And I was just like, I had enough of it. So I basically sent him that letter, respectfully asked him to cease and desist doing it, because I said, you didn't earn the rank. You don't deserve to even say that you can say that you're in that position for a few months, like 6 weekend drills, and that's what you served as an acting Command Sergeant Major for a little while. But the minute you walked out the door, I mean, that was stripped of you because you failed.
What do the other people in the battalion think about what Walz did?
Well, that's kind of funny. Now, I coined the phrase a couple of days ago that the National Guard's been activated in Minnesota now, but it's not the way Tim Walz thought it was going to be, because these people are coming out of the woodwork now. Everybody is. I mean, it's about like you shaking your head there. You're pissed, and these people are too now. I mean, there's a couple of them that they'll fall on the sword for him all the way to the end, I think. But I would say 99% of the soldiers I talk to out here, they're from all the way from the top down to the bottom, and I haven't had any super high ranking anything, but because they're kind of they get political at general level, and but I've got full bird colonels and lots of CSMs out there that are and the general people out there, they're just like ecstatic that this is going on, where it's going on now, because they've just listened to this guy lie so long, they're sick of it.
Good. I'm glad you guys are at least getting some public satisfaction over it. Sergeant Major, thank you, sir. I appreciate you very much. All right. Can you imagine what our military will look like after 4 years of Harris and Walz? It's already getting bad in there. Can you imagine what these people will do? Let's talk to Jason Nelson about exactly that next. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.